Pain isn't just about one joint, one injury, or one bad day. It's your body asking for attention, and the right guidance can change everything. Welcome to the Optimal Health Guide. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm here with Josh Vance, the Optimal Health Guide. Josh, welcome back. This is episode 9 of the podcast. So glad to have you here today.
Glad to be here. It's amazing that we've gotten here so far.
I know we're starting to hear feedback from people. We launched those first 6 episodes and, of course, mom or like sisters or stuff like that, we're starting to digest it, but we broke beyond just those obligatory people. And we've got a variety of clients as we sent it out to our email list, but also so many other people in just the surrounding area. So it is nice. There's a small amount of buzz. I don't know that we're going to become like Joe Rogan or whoever might be the comparative in this particular niche, but I'm glad to be having these conversations. And I know that I keep saying that I really do feel like I've been learning and growing so much along the way. Well, today, Josh, what I'd love to really try to help get at is to help listeners understand about physical therapy, not just about reducing pain. We've actually spent quite a bit of time talking about pain being an indicator, but you really have already started to build the case that it's about retraining movement patterns. I'm even thinking in a previous episode how you said, somebody working with you, giving the best of the best feedback might have an hour and a half to 2 hours in a given week, but there are 10,000 movement hours that we need to be responsible for. So I'm really hoping that you can bring some clarity here to us today. So how about question number 1? When someone is dealing with pain, what has usually gone wrong in the body's movement patterns?
Okay, so I think there's several things that have probably gone wrong. One thing is incorrect movement patterns due to weakness, or this fancy term here. Here's your $10 term for the day: kinesthetic awareness. Okay.
Nice. I like it.
All right. So kinesthetic awareness essentially is knowing where your body is in space. Okay. And we all have really different amounts of that, different kind
Okay.
of innate understanding of where we are positionally. So, when we don't have very good sense of our body, that can have an impact on our movement patterns. All right. But also that weakness. When we're weak, we tend to want to change how we do something. Maybe it's because we get tired. Maybe it's just because we don't actually have the strength to do whatever it is we're trying to do. But that's one thing that can cause some altered movement patterns. Bad postural positioning and habits, another thing. If we're stuck in a bad position all day long, getting out of that is going to be difficult. Then we're going to be stuck with potentially bad movement patterns because of what's happened down the road from being in a bad position. We end up being tight in different muscles. And again, the weakness issue also kind of follows along with that. Now, another thing is what I call compensatory movement patterns. So what that is when we're trying to do something, we don't have the ability to for different reasons. We aren't aware of it. We don't have the strength. We're tired, whatever it may be. So in order to get the job done, we're changing how we do it so that we can still function. Okay. So maybe it's, I want to reach to get something, and instead of just reaching straight up, I'm shrugging my shoulder to reach. So that's a compensatory movement.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
Another thing could be forgotten correct movement patterns. We've been doing it for so long that we don't know how, we don't remember how to move correctly. I see this a lot with the shoulder. All right. So, I mean, that's about 4 different potential problems, reasons why, but they're all going to impact those movement patterns that we would normally be able to do.
Nice. Okay. So you said the $10 word is kinesthetic awareness. So I think I'm tracking with you here, like just paying attention to what's happening. And I think I can see, correct me here if I'm wrong, I can see how that would affect each of those 4 different areas you talked about. If I've got this compensatory thing that I've been doing because I've been dealing with this other pain, it may be that I'm not paying attention to it. And so I just take maybe like a shortcut is how I think how my mind puts that together. You also talked about where you just forget. You've adopted a new pattern or movement and you've done it so long, you've stopped again being aware that you're making this slight change here. Take some of the stuff that you're hearing me respond back and help me to make sure that I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that second one,
Hmm.
walking, a gait pattern would be a common
Hmm.
thing. Okay. So maybe I've got back pain or whatever. And so, or weakness, and I can't pick up my leg or a lot of different things. But
Yeah.
so we've changed how we're moving now, and it's become this habit, and
Yeah.
I can't change it because I don't even know I'm doing it until I'm walking behind somebody and they say, "Hey, you're limping to the side?" It's like, "No, I had no clue on it."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that awareness, sometimes we aren't even aware that we're not moving correctly.
Yeah. And then I think what you're actually getting at then is you are bringing kinesthetic awareness, or you're trying to connect the dots for your clients, your patients, but then you're hoping to be able to empower them with greater kinesthetic awareness so that they can take this out of the room that they're meeting with you in.
Yeah, I think I usually tell people the first thing is you have to do before you can change anything is understand that you're doing it. If you're not
Sure.
even aware that you're doing it, there's no way you can change it. So once we have an awareness, okay, I'm doing this, now we can begin to look at, okay, why am I doing this?
Mm.
Is it because I've been doing it for so long and I don't even realize it? Is it because
Yeah.
I'm weak or I'm tight or my joints restricted or whatever the causes? And that's where my job is to help them
Hmm.
be able to go from we're aware now to begin changing it by developing better kinesthetic awareness if that's one of the issues,
Beautiful.
so that they do understand what normal movement is and helping with the normal movement to begin
Hmm.
relearning that and rebuilding those neural pathways and that feeling and that ability to do a good movement so that we're now doing fewer of these bad movements.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. I love it. Well, in some ways, we're already getting at where I want to go with this next question. But why is it that retraining muscles, nerves, and movement patterns, why is it such an important part of like long-term recovery for somebody?
First of all, what we need to understand is when we're doing exercises, for the first probably 6 weeks or so, really what we're getting is muscle re-education. We're getting
Hmm.
motor learning. We're relearning how to use a muscle
Hmm.
because physiologically it takes 6 weeks to improve that muscle structure. That cellular muscle is
Hmm.
called hypertrophy. That takes 6 weeks of exercise before that even begins to change. Any exercise you're doing for the 6 weeks, it's really not getting you any stronger, even though it feels like you are because it's getting easier. It's re-educating the muscles. They're learning.
Okay.
There's motor learning going on. All right. So relearning the correct movements vital to change what's been going on when we're dealing with bad movements. And you learn how to use the correct muscles in the correct position, taking stress off these muscles that have been overused because of the change in movement. Okay.
Hmm.
So now when we're dealing with nerves, it's important to understand that potentially it requires quite a bit of time depending on what kind of a nerve injury it is. If we're talking
Hmm.
an injury to the outer part of the nerve, which is called the myelin sheath, or the inner part, which is called the axons, that's kind of a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But understanding nerve injury is going to take a lot of time, and relearning has to happen just to potentially get the muscles to work again. But again, this is a slow process and it's going to take a lot of repetitions, a lot of repetitions. It's like when we hear something negative about ourselves,
Hmm.
one negative comment is 10 positive comments
You're
to
right.
change that. Well,
Yeah.
in the same movement sense, it takes a lot of good movements. It takes a lot of retraining and repetition to develop more normal movement patterns that is going to help with that long-term recovery.
I'm noticing again and again, you're always helping us go beyond just the immediate target, pain or removing it. I love how you're casting this long term, vision toward like restored function and ability to be able to do the things that you want to do through the training and coaching and the practicing. I think that was really helpful to hear. And it's going to take 6 weeks just to retrain how to be able to do this. So all of that is incredibly helpful. Anything else that you want to add into that topic before we hit the last question?
I think just that, sometimes people get frustrated because things take time,
Yeah. I hear
And
you.
that's just kind of how it is. And when you've been doing something the wrong way, and it could be anything, it could be physical, it could
Mhm.
be a lot of other different things I'm sure you can think of.
Mhm.
Those new habits take time. And it's just steady plodding over time. Maybe you still make a mistake and you fall back into that old habit, but it's steady plodding over time. And eventually, as you persist and you keep working on it, you're going to get it. And the motor learning is really the same thing. Getting stronger, it's repetition, it's doing it. Movement patterns, it's redoing, it's learning, it's consistently doing it. Even though you may fall off, you get back up on the horse, you keep doing it again and
Yeah.
again, again.
That's great. Well, you've already opened this one up, but let's dive a little bit deeper into this last question. How is
Again.
it that targeted exercises actually teach the body to move correctly again?
Well, usually we'll give exercises for a lot of different reasons.
Mm.
Some of them could be strengthening, some of them could be posture, stretching, and also obviously muscle re-education, which really, again, that kind of comes before the
Mhm.
strengthening. But let's look at these. So muscle re-education is really the ability to correctly coordinate and control muscles with correct movement patterns. It's absolutely vital for you to be able to move your body correctly. Sometimes that kinesthetic awareness is impaired. That's something
Mhm.
that can improve over time. But again, it takes repetition and practice and sometimes feedback. We have to have feedback. In fact, we always
Mhm.
need feedback, but sometimes it's feedback tactily where we're being cued to do things. Sometimes it's verbal feedback. Oh, like this joint moved. Don't move there, just move here. Now, in regards to posture, that's the ability to hold the body in the correct position. That's not a hard thing to understand. And
Mhm.
it sounds very elementary, but you might be surprised how many people have difficulty with that. Okay.
Hmm.
So again, that sitting posture, that shoulder posture where we're doing this all day long, or at least 6, 7 hours out of the day, and we're not getting up and we're getting out of it. So that is going to affect what we're trying to do. And
Mhm.
it's going to affect the ability to hold yourself in that better position. So in that case, those postural exercises are going to help retrain your shoulder, for instance, or
Mhm.
your upper back to become more ideal. So it might be that we need some exercises to get our shoulder blades to work better, or to not shrug our shoulders all the time, or
Mm.
to do some neck exercises to get the back of our neck stronger. It's
Mhm.
all regarding in that posture has to be positively impacted with those postural exercises. Now, stretching that obviously helps by improving flexibility in a muscle so that we have the
Mhm.
full motion within that muscle. When things can go wrong when tightness prevents the joints from moving the way they're supposed to.
Mhm.
And what I mean by things go wrong, obviously that can affect mobility. Okay. It can affect your ability to raise your arm, move your leg,
Mhm.
a variety of different things. So stretching helps to increase the flexibility in the muscles that are tight to help restore normal length in the tissue. Okay. So there's a normal amount of mobility that we need in that muscle in order for joints to move correctly. And so then when we don't have that, that's going to affect the joints, which is going to affect our ability to stand or walk or do various different things.
Yeah.
Now, strengthening increases the ability of the muscles to do work, and that's what it's all about. Weakness limits our ability to work, and then when muscles get tired, that's when those compensatory movements begin to occur again. So it might be because of fatigue, it might be because we just don't have the strength. Maybe we had a nerve injury, maybe we just been deconditioned for a while. We just don't have that strength to do what it is we're trying to do. Well, the body's going to find a way to get the
Mhm.
job done. And so it's going to lead to abnormal movement patterns, overuse, strains, because we don't have that strength to do the things that we're trying to accomplish.
Okay. Wow. That's opened up quite a few different ideas in my mind. Let me drill down into one. So we're talking about increasing kinesthetic awareness. And before you had talked about the negative sides of forgetting, like you've kind of forgotten that you've started to do this thing. But I'm noticing and tell me if this is right. Am I putting these two pieces together? When you were talking about posture awareness, so if I'm now aware of my posture, do I want to get to a place where I'm positively forgetting bad posture and I've corrected it to a point where I've taught my body the correct posture, or is that not the right way to think about that?
No, I think that's right. It's relearning. It's a new normal,
Mm-hmm.
right? The new normal. So maybe we were here, now we're going to be here. Just like many other times, we have to develop this new normal. But I
Mm-hmm.
think you're right. Not so much forgetting bad
Forgetting.
postures, but relearning and establishing newer
Yeah.
positions, good posture to
Yeah.
help put everything where it belongs so that we're preventing all these other potential issues down the road.
Yeah. The word that it may come from a different field altogether. So I remember I taught fourth grade for a while. And so a lot of that had to do with helping students to read. That was a big part. They had all their natural reading abilities, but you were helping them to get to automaticity. And a lot of that had to do with reading out loud. A student who had good automaticity could read and they weren't thinking about decoding all of those words each time. Does that word transfer into physical therapy at all, or is that really in its own realm?
I think it does. Movements are automatic, right?
Hmm.
And we just want to promote those good automatic movements. And so,
Yes.
it is learning it, just like with speech. We're learning, we're putting things together so that we do that good movement, and it's now automatic. We don't have to think about it like maybe in the first couple of weeks we really had to be very intentional
Yes.
and
Yeah.
thoughtful about how we're doing this. And now
Yeah.
we've done it, gotten good feedback, we're doing it better. It's now becoming more automatic. Maybe not 100% of the time, but we're
Sure.
getting more wins more frequently, being able to do the correct thing that we're trying to achieve.
That's great. Well, I guess the other question that I'll open up is you laid out a few different things about how targeted exercise, teaches the body and retrains. Do you want to choose one of those 4 or 5 categories that you brought up and just give what's a general tip that you might give to somebody who wants to grow in that, even at home before meeting with you?
Well, I would say stretching. I
Okay.
think stretching, it's a simple thing that we can do. You can probably Google how to stretch any major muscle and get at least 4 or 5 different ways to stretch it. But too often we're just tight. We don't do
Hmm.
things. And depending on what we do on a daily basis as far as work or activities, we may find that while we're stretching. Just the other day, I was sitting there
Hmm.
with a patient while I was teaching him how to stretch a hamstring. And I was like, wow, this feels really good. I need to do this more often,
That's great.
So, I need to do that too. But
Yeah.
but that stretching, it's not a huge time investment. If you hold a stretch for 1 minute, that's pretty much what you need to do, maybe a couple times a day. But if you do it regularly, it's going to go a long way. It feels good when you stretch
Yeah.
gently. It's gentle stretching. We're not talking about aggressive stretching, but gentle
Hmm.
stretching. It feels good, and it's just gonna help open things up and make you feel better in all sorts of ways.
That's great. Well, those of you listening, you can tell. One of the things that Josh and his team really want to try to help everyone understand is that recovery isn't just about feeling good for a few days, getting, past the pain. It's really about helping your body to be able to move correctly again. So if you want to be able to see how that process begins, you can go to our website at vancept.com. And you can walk through the process to step into a free consultation. That'll give you some access to be able to have Josh walk you through some of these things and tell him about the things you're learning from the podcast and let him translate that into the room with him. So help us help you to be able to build a treatment plan around those movement patterns that you need. So thanks everybody for listening in today.